Good morning, it's Barbara. It is damp and dreary outside. It's going to be a rainy day. I I don't know why I keep talking like I might go outside if it weren't, but I'm not going outside. I'm in. I'm in probably for the duration. Oh well. Good morning, it's Barbara. Thank you for joining me for coffee. I put some lipstick on because it's so dreary. Sometimes you need to just zhuzh yourself up a little. Also, I'm trying to keep your eyes away from my hair. Oh, I shouldn't have told you that. My second cup of coffee. Dennis brought me coffee in bed today. We alternate. I bought coffee and tea yesterday. So. Anyway, good morning. Still morning here. So my Advent package arrived in New Zealand, so that was good news. So Megan will have her Advent on time. Karen texted me a copy of a notice she got from the Royal Mail in Great Britain that her package is under review or whatever by Royal Mail before it's going out. So I don't even know what that means in terms of our chances of getting our, because she got the same botanical knits yarn Advent as I did. And so anyway, hopefully we'll get it by December 1st. If we don't, we got our other one who I'm such a jerk. I can't remember who I bought the second one from. And so they're not getting any advertising from me. Presumably I'll have that information when I start opening them. Although my plan was to open those for the 12 days of Christmas, but we shall see. I might get too greedy and, I might not wait. It's very possible, regardless of whether the other one comes. Anyway, so that's an update on the Advents. The girls' Advent, I didn't do anything with yesterday, but I will definitely be working on this table today because I want to finish the Advents and get things moved around and all ready to go. And Carol suggested some of these glasses that I have that are wonderful. I mean, these are high quality wine glasses that we just don't have room for and don't really use, to give them away for birthday or wedding gifts or whatever. And we actually have a wedding at the end of December. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to find a nice box at Joann and wrap those carefully so that they don't break and give them for a wedding gift. We'll still give them a check. It's just, maybe they'll have a good home. They can always rehome them to someone else. We might take that suggestion. I guess it's up to Dennis, as his friend. So anyway. But today I'm going to work on this table, which is a version of working on the dining room table because some of this stuff got moved from the dining room. But I do have to get a wiggle on because, it's Tuesday. Thanksgiving is Thursday. I think I bought the jellied cranberry sauce yesterday, which is the kind that, you dump it out of the can and you can see the can, the mold, the can mold. Jason and I both like that. I can only have the tiniest bit because it's not keto. But you got to have it, So I got some of that yesterday when I stopped to get dog food. So I think we have everything we need. I hope we do. We better decide we do today because tomorrow is not going to be a good day to go grocery shopping at all. Because, So, that's the thing we have to do today. Inventory for dinner on Thursday. In fact, I think I'm going to text the kids and say, what will Isabel and Samantha want to have on Thanksgiving? Because they're not going to eat salmon and they're not going to eat turkey. So we shall see. if I have to buy something, I need to know. Yeah, but it's gonna be, well, we'll walk the dogs, but it'll be a feel cozy in the house kind of a day, maybe even a fire tonight. I'm wearing my heavy sweater. This is Not Too Much by Hinter Stern. The top, I was holding Chili Knits double. Actually, I held everything double. This is a DK sweater, and so I used fingering. Everything was held double. And so you can see I faded it with the black or charcoal. The black or charcoal is Cloudborn yarn, which Craftsy used to sell, but I don't know that they still do. The top is Chili Knits, 2 different colors of Chili Knits that I faded into each other. Can you see? I do not recommend using a soft superwash for the yoke in top of the sleeves part of a sweater, where you're going to be using something that's a little bit more hefty on the bottom, and it's a very long sweater, so it kind of pulls it down. And because it's superwash, it kind of, you know, stretches. So I don't recommend that. I've learned many things making sweaters with the wrong yarn over the years. Not a ton of things, because I have, you know, continued to do that. But so, you know, lessons learned. So I don't recommend that. This is a very solid, hefty body, which makes it warm on my arms, but it pulls around the neck, and so I put a little something up there. Should go. Maybe my project this winter will be going through my shawls. Well, then I would have to figure out what the pattern is. For some of them, I don't know. My shawls get bunched up on a rack kind of a thing, like a towel rack thing I have, like a ladder. I could show you. And I have a lot of them. And so they get sort of bunched up. I don't know what the solution to that is, because I have a lot of them and I don't really have a place to put them. So, yeah. But I could, you know, wash them, block them, and talk about them. And that would be, you know, sort of content for the winter. But I was just thinking, that came to mind because I was thinking I should pull out my cowls, because I'm a little bit on a cowl kick, in that I like cowls. This is not a cowl. This is also does not have its ends woven in. Rocking the Mean Girls at the moment. So I've been kind of liking cowls, and I need to do a little dive into cowls and figure out the kinds of shapes of cowls that I'm interested in. Because sometimes the cowl doesn't go far enough around my neck, you know, like the shoulder part. So I have some cowls that kind of fan out like that. And I have one piece that goes all the way to mid-arm. You know, it's sort of like a tiny little poncho-y thing that I should make. I haven't made yet. So yeah, I got to think about where I'm going when the knitting bug hits me again, because I do love to wear my knits, and I'm hoping that with the cold weather coming, where I'm wearing my knits all the time. I mean, I have my socks on, you know, so I wear my knits all winter, and I'm hoping that's going to give me a little bit of a boost on my low mojo. I did enjoy knitting that hat for Kim. So And I am feeling like I'm going to be wearing hats more because I've been feeling cold and I've been wearing a hat in the house, which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. I mean, Dennis has been very good about keeping our house vented, which means that we're getting cold air. Not a lot, but a little bit of cold air coming through the room I'm actually sitting in, going out up the steps and out the bathroom window to keep the carbon dioxide down and to make sure that the air is recirculated. So wearing a hat is not an unreasonable thing to do under those circumstances. I have a lot of hats, and more hats than I ever thought I needed, but I need to go through my hats too and figure out a way to keep them because they're not very accessible. They're on the top of a high shelf, and so I just grab the first one that I can reach. But I have hats I don't even remember I made, so I need to. And I have some that I brought from Aura's house because I made them for her and Garland. So that's another project I could do. Yeah, vented windows. You know, you've seen, maybe you haven't, maybe you have, like in movies if you have never lived in an apartment in New York City, which I never have. But city apartments or lots of old houses, not even city apartments, lots of old houses have big radiators right in front of the windows, right under the windows. And that style of heating was developed in the early 20th century when the Spanish flu was rampant because they had the fresh air movement. Everybody needed to, they knew that you needed to clear the bad air out of your apartment. I mean, the Spanish flu was also airborne. And so that's why they wore masks during the Spanish flu. You can find lots of pictures of people outside wearing masks. And they started the fresh air movement, which meant that you needed a bigger heater under the window because even in the winter, you were keeping your window open so that the air would be replaced and you would have fresh air because the germs were in the air. And so that's why those old apartments and those old houses had giant radiators right under the window because they expected that window to be open in the wintertime. Of course, now, later we had problems with the energy crisis and all kinds of stuff and, changed our thinking and lost that memory that these flus were, airborne. But anyway, we do not have a giant radiator under our window, as you can see, but Dennis is making sure that we have fresh air. So I need to wear a hat. Aura has a lot of hair, and she doesn't get as cold as me, so she doesn't seem to need a hat. But if she does, I have hats for her too. And I've made hats for Dennis, so everybody has a hat they could wear. Anyway, I'm rambling. So, you'll notice I didn't tell you what I did yesterday. Because I didn't do anything yesterday. Which is why I have a lot to do today. Yeah. Yeah, and last night I was watching a comedy show. I told you about it before. It's Alan Davis, No Name Assigned. I think it's called something like No Name Assigned. And it's basically him. And Alan Davis is the comedian who played Jonathan Creek back in the olden days. The Jonathan Creek who was the magic show designer who was a detective. Anyway, he's a comedian. And he has this show that I'm watching. It's on BritBox. And I think it's called Alan Davis, like No Name Assigned. And so he gets 4 British comedians, mostly British, 4 comedians, and a couple of them are Irish. I watched 3 shows last night. And he gets 4 comedians to come and sit down, and they just sit down and talk. And he knows, he has sort of a little anecdote about each of these comedians to get the conversation started, but it's just really them sitting around riffing and talking and laughing, and it's actually quite funny. And I've enjoyed it. And by the end of the show, they figure out what the title of the show should be, based on the conversations that they've had. And anyway, so I was watching comedy last night, which felt really nice. I watched 3 of those shows, and one of them had Ben Miller in it. Ben Miller is the actor who played the first British detective in Death in Paradise. He was on for 2 seasons. And he's apparently a stand-up comedian. And so he was one of them on one of the shows I watched last night. And that's the show that I also, last time I watched it, saw Noel, I would forget his last name, who is now the sidekick, presenter on British Baking Show. He's the tall, thin, dark-haired guy. Noel, and I don't remember his name. But anyway, he was on one of those shows because he is a stand-up comedian. So anyway, I enjoyed that, and I watched some comedy last night. So if you have BritBox, it's on that. Alan Davis, and he spells Davis Davies, and I don't, but he pronounces it Davis. In the United States, we would pronounce that Davies. But anyway, so that's what I did last night. I didn't do any work. All right, enough rambling. I'm going to go. Please take good care of yourselves. Please, please stay safe and stay sane.